Scrappers, it's Vanessa here with another scrapbook process video, and today I am creating a layout that I actually put together for the April Secret Knot Secret Kit Club crop or um, party that we have every month. And the challenge that I was playing along with was from Christy, from Christy's Beautiful Life, and she had posted for her challenge to pick one of the ladies' layouts that had played along with her 30 days of sketches and to create your own take on that lady's layout. And so I ended up choosing a layout from Moira, and I'll have Moira's channel listed below so that you can go check her out. I also had at the beginning of this video the layout that I was going to sort of scrap lift for this layout today. And so that is basically what you see me doing here. I'm using my April color palette, and so all the colors that I'm using and the papers and things are kind of inspired by that color palette. And I'm going to go ahead and scrap my version of Moira's layout. I'll also have Christy's channel below if you have not checked out her 30 days of sketches. She just finished it for the month of April, and so you can go and check out all of her layouts as well, and I will have all those links posted down below. So the first thing that I'm doing here is I'm kind of copying Moira's layout in the fact that I went and did some mixed media on the background. I just did it very simply with just some Distress Oxide ink. I wanted to keep it really simple and not have this take a huge amount of time, so I didn't want to put wet medium on it and have to wait for it to dry. Now I did turn Moira's sketch on its side, and so you will see that here as I start to build my layout. I am taking the pattern papers that I pulled, and here's where I'm kind of playing with, do I actually like it better, sort of the same orientation as Moira's, but I ended up turning it, like I said, to the side. I have matted my photo on a couple of pieces of the pattern papers that I chose, and now with these other three, so I have a green geometric, a pink that has sort of a daisy print, and then a blue that just is a tone-on-tone sort of I want to say kind of like a plaid, and I just went and cut some, I believe they're about 3-inch strips. They might actually be a little bit bigger than that, and I'm going to cut these 3 pattern papers into banners, which is in keeping with Moira's layout, and they layer here behind the photo. So I'm going to kind of position everything on the layout, get an idea of how I like it, and you see me tapping my fingers because I feel like the banners are a bit too wide, and I do end up cutting them down because I kept looking at it and I was like, I think I cut them too wide and I needed to cut them down. So here is where you'll see I'm going to shorten them, obviously, because they're too long, and then I am going to just cut them down a little bit because it just sort of was a bit too much behind the photo. And so once I get that done, I kind of forget what I did next. I don't have the layout in front of me, and it's been a week or two since I've created this layout, so I apologize. I am going to take some of these paper strips that were leftovers, and because I'm going to create some clusters in other areas of the layout, I want to carry the pattern papers into those other clusters to allow for the continuity of the colors and things to kind of flow throughout the layout itself. So that's what you see me doing here is I'm taking each of those pattern papers that I have used, whether it's behind the photo as a mat or as banners on the layout, and I'm just cutting some random strips. I didn't measure them, I just cut basic strips because I'm going to use those, and I'm going to kind of pile them all up, which you'll see here in a few minutes in my other sort of places on the layout that I'm going to have some embellishing. So I do decide that, like Moira's layout, I am going to put those strips in sort of the same idea as hers. This does change, but at first I'm trying to follow her sort of inspiration piece a bit closely to see how if I like this idea of those strips being up at the top and bottom like they are on her layout. As I laid everything down, I did notice that I did need a bit more mixed media in the background because obviously when you put your pattern papers down, a lot of it gets covered up. So I just needed to have a few other pops of it kind of peeking out in certain areas. And here is where I am looking at how I have everything laid out, and I noticed there was something got dropped on my white pattern paper, and I'm kind of playing with whether or not I'm going to mat the entire layout all the way around for the background border that I have. I did end up leaving it with a border all the way around the photo. And here's where you see I had gone and glued everything down for my background at this point, and I decided against those pattern papers going across all the way across the top and all the way across on the bottom. And I decided to just layer them up in sort of the right side, top and bottom, instead of all the way across, because I felt like I wanted to put 3 embellishment clusters on this layout, and I wanted to have those pattern papers be the base of that. And I knew that one of my clusters was going to be there to the middle left of my photo. And so I felt like it cut things off if I put the pattern papers across the top. So that's why I went with sort of a bit of a different departure than Moira's layout. But I do really love how this came out. And I'm basically now just going to build out those embellishment clusters. I am just taking a whole bunch of random pieces from my stash. I have puffy stickers, I have chipboard, I have butterflies that I cut from Maggie Holmes pattern paper. I have tons of different collections, everything from like, I think some My Mind's Eye, some Dear Lizzie, some Maggie Holmes. All I did was basically go through my stash and look for things that match the colors. I didn't care who the manufacturer was or what the collection was, as long as it matched by color. I am scrapping a photo of my daughter, and this is actually at the Morocco Pavilion, I believe, in Epcot. And so my title for this one is Explore the World, because that's basically exactly what we were doing. Both my daughter and I, our favorite park is Epcot. We love it, not only for the rides that are at Epcot, but also because we love to go around the world. And I often will make her stop and take fun or silly pictures in different parts of the around the world. We also like to eat at different places around the world, so it is definitely a fun park to explore. And we typically will do around the world in the evening. And a lot of times we'll stop and have our supper at the Rose and Crown. And so that's kind of become a bit of a tradition for us when we go. So here you see I've put my title down, and it's a little hard to read on camera, but you can definitely see it clearly in person. And I'm just going to put my finishing touches here, which is just some little, they're not puffy. They're kind of like puffy hearts. I don't even remember. I think they were from a Maggie Holmes. I think they're more like epoxy hearts. And then I have a Mickey head, of course, that I am going to add here to the bottom cluster. And a finishing touch for this layout is just going to be some sequins from Spiegel Mom Scraps. And I believe these were a little package that came in one of my my Creative Cuts Club kits. And so I'm going to sprinkle these different little blue sequins in amongst each of my clusters. And with that, guys, I will have still photos at the end. There is the color board that I was using as my inspiration. And like I said, I will have the links to Moira and Christy's channels below, so be sure to check them out as well. And with that, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.